So welcome to 13.1. We're going to do area, and we're going to do area of shapes made from multiple squares. So find the area of each object. It's literally counting the squares. Now, for a square, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have another row of 4 makes 8, another 4 makes 12. Right, but we learned that you can multiply these sides, so the area of B, and we're going to say 16 square units. The units, whether inches or centimeters, are squares for area. So for every problem here, it's going to be square units. So that's 4. Similarly with a rectangle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for A, we could do 4 times 8, which is 32 square units. And again, right, there's 8 in the first row. That makes 16, the 24, and 32. Now, for other odd shapes, you really just have to count the squares. I mean, you could do some partial things, but there are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 square units that I'm finding, 11 square units in C. And that is area. It's the number of square units inside the shape. Right? But what about that shape? Right? This little square here is 25 square inches. How would you go about finding the area of the whole object if that part is 25 square inches? Well, let's see. All right, so area is the size of any flat surface. It's always measured in square units. So this, if I take a ruler, is 1 inch by 1 inch. So now you're going to say this as 1 square inch. All right, you're not going to say inches squared. Okay, that makes you sound silly. All right, 1 square inch is how everyone who in construction or is buying products at Home Depot, they're saying square feet, square yards, square inches. This is 1 square inch. So what's that? That is 1 square centimeter. So if that's 1 square centimeter, what's the area of the whole thing? Well, then the next one is that's 1 square centimeter. They're all, if they look the same size, they are the same size. I'm not trying to trick you or anything. So you could just add them up or multiply by 6, and you would say this is 6 square centimeters. Now, what about this shape? Well, it's not exactly right. How do we measure things that are sort of odd shapes? Well, you make squares or rectangles or other shapes that you know the area of as close to you as the shape, close to the shape as you can. So this is going to be approximate, but it says each one is 1 square centimeter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's about 8 square centimeters, that shape. Now, you learned a formula base times height. Right, let's just make sure we all understand, right? So the height here is 3 inches. It says each one is 1 square inch, so we know that. And the base here is 5 square inches. The area of the whole thing is 15 square inches. There are 15 1 squares in there. That's how it works. Base being the bottom, height being how much it goes up. So find the area there. Yes, we just multiply base times. Now, you learned length times width, right? But it's going to turn out to be more helpful to go base times height this year. But it's the same, right? It's the same thing as length times width. Except the base is 7 here, the height is 6, and so it's 42 square centimeters. Oh, there it is. And so how many little squares are there in there? There better be 42. 6 times 7. Now, what about that? What's the square? Well, base times height. So the base is 7, and then times 2.5. Well, we can't multiply mixed numbers. Now you could do 2.5, perfectly good, or you could do 7 times 2 times 2 is 4 plus 7 times 5 halves, which is 35 halves, and 30 halves is 15, and 34 halves is 17. I think this is 17.5. Now it was feet. This was feet, and this is feet. I should have said this before. That's how you get the square feet, right? Because x times x is x squared, and feet times feet is feet squared. So this is 17.5 square feet. Now, are there 17.5 squares in there? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then another row is 14. Now, each one of these, remember this was 2.5, and this is a whole one. So this is a half times 1. Yeah, each one of these is half a square foot. Well, 2 halves make a whole, so that makes 15. Those 2 halves get it up to 16. Those 2 halves get it up to 17, and there's 1 extra half. Yeah, that's 17.5 square feet. So now, if we're going to go to the Home Depot and buy tiles, if we buy 17.5 square feet, it should exactly cover that. But don't ever do that. Always buy a little extra, because when you're going to have to cut these tiles right in half, then you may mess up. And so you always buy, the general rule is 10% more, right? But at least 10% more for cuts and mistakes when you go to Home Depot. But when you go to Home Depot, the tiles are measured in square feet. You'll see this symbol, or you'll see this word, square feet. Okay, like that, words. Steve wants to put carpet in the living room. All right, so this is, carpet's usually in square yards, but it can also be in square feet. So now it's in decimals, so we're just going to multiply decimals. Why not? 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 7, 56, plus 3 is 59. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. And so this is 139.2 square feet of carpet we need. Now, this is the one I showed you in the world. If that's 25 square inches, what's the area of the whole thing? Well, they're all 25 square inches, right? So that's 100. There are 6 of them times 25. 6 times 24 times 25 is 100. This is 150 square inches. So when you see this picture, I'm saying that length is 5 inches and that length is 5 inches. Similarly here, this is 4 square miles, right? How do they find the area of a lake? Say a lake is not going to be a rectangle or a square or even a circle. What they'll do is they'll use smaller squares than this, but they will use a bunch of little squares and try to get as close to the edges as they can with the little squares, and then add up all the squares. That's literally what they do. So it's 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. What do we have? 8 of them, and so 4 times 8. This is approximately 32 square miles. That's how you say that. All right, so now let's work. This is a classic problem. The perimeter of a square is 20 inches. So a couple of things. So when you add up all these sides, it's 20 inches. Now, it says it's a square. So if that side's x, what's that side? And that side, and that side. So the perimeter of a square, so if we add up all the sides, it's 20 inches. Can we solve that for x? Of course we can. That's 4x equals 20, divide by 4. So x equals 5 inches. So now that we know x is 5 inches, and that's 5 inches, because it's a square, what's the area? The area is 5 times 5, 25 square inches. Let's practice. So 2 3/7 times 7. 2 times 7. So we do not want to make that a decimal because sevenths make a horrible repeating decimal. So you're going to go with this. So 7 times 2 is 14 plus 3 is 17 sevenths. And yeah, there's canceling right in it. Boom. So this is 17 square feet. Now each of these little ones is 3/7, right? It's 3/7 times 1. So they're each 3/7 of the square foot. Yes, 3/7 of a square foot. So you add them all up, all these 3/7. There's another 3/7 and another 3/7, and it'll all, right? 2 times 7 is 14. There are 14 tiles plus another 3/7. 7 3/7, 7 3/7. 3 more square feet. 14 tiles, right? There's 7 tiles plus 7 more, 14, and those add up to exactly 3 more square feet. right? So if this is 1 square inch, what's the whole thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The whole thing is 8 square inches. So this one is 49 square feet. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so 49 times 4, 196 square feet. All right, the perimeter of a square is 40 inches. Right, it's a square, so they add up. You can jump right to 4x. 4x equals 40. Divide by 4. X equals 10. If the sides are 10, the area is 100 square inches. All right, so you have two choices here, right? Because we have a decimal and a fraction. So 6 3/4 is 6 7/75, or 6.75. So you can multiply by 6.75 times 15.2, or you could go 6 3/4 times 15 2/10. I think I'll go with the decimal. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Step over. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. Step over twice for the third row. You get a 5, 7, and a 6. You add that all up. Comes out relatively nicely here. 10, then 16. That's what I'm getting. 12, yeah. 16, 10, and 12. 9 and 10. And it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm getting 102.6 square feet. So it's 102 6/10 square feet. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Good luck with the homework.